Early spring mornings, a mist hangs over the Yoho Mountains, where pine forests intertwine with moss-covered rocks. The early morning sunlight filters through the foliage and onto the winding road that meanders through the cool valley of British Columbia. In a crevice near the road, a mother and her cub live hidden away from human settlements. Mother Lynx teaches her cubs how to stalk prey, keep their balance, and listen to every little movement in the forest around them. The lynx is only a few months old, has a playful personality and often likes to explore new things that it does not fully understand. That afternoon, mother and son left the forest and followed the slippery mossy hillside near the asphalt road. At the foot of the slope, there is a small rubbish dump where people have left behind a few rolls of rope, plastic bags, and old fishing nets. The mother lynx stopped to watch a group of hares nearby, while the curious lynx cub approached the pile of torn nets. It played with its feet, then bit and pulled the rough rope, making a crunching sound, thinking it was a fun game. A net sprang up, wrapping around its leg, causing it to jerk back in instinctive panic. But the more it struggled, the tighter the net tightened around its small body, causing it to gasp in despair. The lynx pup let out a small, hoarse cry that echoed across the misty mountain slopes. The mother lynx immediately turned back, her eyes flashing with anxiety, and rushed forward, tugging at the net with her teeth and claws. The old net did not break, but instead twisted tighter, causing the lynx to cry out miserably, in pain and gradually becoming exhausted. The strong mountain wind carried the smell of damp pine, mixed with the distant sound of vehicles echoing from the road below the valley. The mother lynx pulled the net with all her might, but the old rope was tightly woven into the ground and rocks and would not budge. The lynx kitten gasped, its eyes half closed, its breath weak as if it were about to faint in the tangled mess of strings. The mother lynx roared softly, the roar echoed across the mountainside and bounced off the cliffs like a desperate plea. A few cars passed by, their headlights flashing, but no one stopped to take a closer look. To humans, lynxes are predators, and few dare venture into the wild. The mother lynx stood in the middle of the road, her eyes following each passing car in despair. It let out a low groan, mixed with the whistling wind, sounding like a cry for help fading into space. The sun had set behind the mountains, its golden light reflected on the dark road, creating a quiet, sad scene. The lynx cub cowered, its little legs trembling, and collapsed in the heavy torn net. The mother lynx bowed her head and licked her baby's face, trying to pass on her remaining warmth to the little creature. Every time a car passed, it raised its head to look, its ears trembling with hope, then it fell back down in disappointment. The wind from Yoho Peak blew down, cold, making every breath of the mother lynx blend with despair. Just then, a silver pickup truck slowed down and stopped on the side of the winding road between the hills. The car door opened, a man in an orange shirt stepped out, his eyes determined and his voice calm. It was Ethan Walker, a longtime ranger with the Yoho Conservation Area, on patrol through the western slopes. He immediately recognized the trapped lynx and its mother standing nearby, alert but not aggressive. Ethan opened the trunk and took out the first aid kit, which included scissors, bandages, and an emergency antiseptic. He stood still for a few seconds, took a deep breath, then approached slowly, avoiding making sudden noises that might scare the lynx. The mother lynx growled softly, her eyes following the man's every step as he walked towards her child. Ethan bent down, his voice low and soft, "It's okay. I will help, don't be afraid." That steady voice made the mother lynx stop roaring, only breathing heavily, ears drooping. Feeling his calm, it took a few steps back, still keeping its eyes on him with a mixture of wariness and trust. Ethan knelt down and saw the lynx's body wrapped in tangled rope and covered in dust. He opened the box, carefully cutting each wire, avoiding damaging the animal's fur and soft skin. The mother lynx moved closer, bowing her head to observe, her ears wagging as if understanding that the human was helping. A string snapped, the lynx cub gasped, stirring weakly, while Ethan continued to work calmly. Each cut was precise and decisive, the sound of metal hitting the wire echoed softly in the quiet mountains and forests. Ethan whispered, "Almost there, baby. Just a little longer." The mother lynx stood nearby, her eyes shining with anticipation, her nostrils quivering as if counting her cub's every breath. Finally, the last rope was cut, the net rolled apart, and the lynx cub rolled out panting on the road. Ethan put down the scissors, gently picked up the little animal, and reached out to touch its chest to check its breathing. The heartbeat was weak but steady, enough to let him know it still had a chance of survival. The mother lynx immediately stepped forward, rubbing her head against her cub, making a low, trembling sound between joy and anxiety. Ethan sat still, not moving much, letting mother and child feel safe before continuing. He opened the first aid kit, took out some water and lightly disinfected the small scratches on the lynx's body. The mother lynx watched his every move, occasionally whimpering softly as if reminding him to be gentle. Ethan smiled and whispered, "It's okay, I just want her to get well." He took 2 plastic trays from the car, poured clean water and some dry food for wild animals. He placed the tray near the edge of the road, took a few steps back, and nodded slightly to the mother lynx. The mother lynx approached, sniffed the water tray, licked a few drops, and then encouraged her baby to drink too. The lynx cub was timid, then bent down to drink water, its eyes tired but shining with life. The afternoon light fell on the pine forest, reflecting on the damp asphalt and the silhouettes of 3 small creatures in silence. Ethan watched, a warm, indescribable feeling welling up in his heart amidst the vastness of nature. In that moment, the boundary between human and wild seemed to dissolve, leaving only understanding and kindness. The lynx let out a small growl of thanks, then rubbed its head against its mother's chest, trustingly. Once the lynx was back on its feet, Ethan cleaned up the old netting and trash around the area to avoid harming other animals. He put them in the trunk, cleaned his hands with cool forest water, then turned back to look at mother and child. The mother lynx raised her head, her eyes filled with sincere gratitude, no longer shy like before. Ethan stood still, smiling gently, letting the wind blow the veteran ranger's gray-brown hair. The lynx cub turned its head to look at him, its clear eyes sparkling in the orange-red sunset on the distant mountains. Both mother and child walked up the slope, blending into the green grass, their footsteps gradually fading into the deep forest. The wind blowing down from the mountain top carried the smell of pine resin and earth, mixed with a strange feeling of peace. Ethan bent down, picked up a lynx fur that had fallen on the road, and put it in his pocket as a souvenir. He started the car and looked through the rearview mirror, where the 2 lynxes had disappeared into the misty mountains. The winding road stretched out before our eyes, the sunset dyed the forest red, and the rocks a pale yellow. Ethan smiled, a simple happiness rising in his heart that his job rarely brought. He thought to himself, nature still responds to humans when we know how to listen and help it. The rustling of the wind mixed with the soft hum of the engine carried him on down the road leading to the Yoho Ranger Station. In the distance, the sky opened up, white clouds drifted past the snow-capped mountain peaks. Ethan said softly to himself, "I hope you two will be safe forever in this beautiful world."